on Fox Nation.
What made you decide that you want to speak out?
Martha McCallum's exclusive interview with Buster Murdaugh. The Fall of the House of Murdaugh. Streaming now.
Hunter Biden is the most protected person in the country.
This barely functional human who's got this roaring crack addiction and roaring sex addiction.
Leaving meetings every 10, 15 minutes, smoking crack, snorting coke or something, in the middle of negotiating some of these deals.
Tens of millions of dollars. It came from the Ukraine, it came from China, it came from Russian entities.
And walked in a customer clutching 3 MacBook Pros. When I asked for his last name, there was a long pause and he kind of sarcastically added Biden.
There is a massive amount of material here that's very damaging to Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Jim Biden.
It shows corruption at the highest level of the American government.
Breaking tonight, the third story in a row, there are new developments in the Hunter Biden email story.
When I got on the plane, I mean, I was running. I was afraid and I was scared and I left.
I probably said too much. The NSA will be on my ass.
Hunter Biden, the son of President Joe Biden, is both an enigma and an open book. He's published a revealing memoir. His shadowy dealings have been investigated by congressional committees. He abandoned his laptop with thousands of photos, videos,
damn it, this
emails,
is the
and
wrong
text
one.
messages that fill in the rest
All
of
right.
his life of drug use, sexual
I've
depravity.
already recorded this one. I want episode 4, damn it. Ah, son of a gun. Here it is. Here it is, right there. Wait, is that 4? Part 4. No, shit, that's 1. God dang it. Shit, I've already got 1, 2, and 3 recorded, and I know there's a part 4. Where is it? Right there. Okay. What is going on here?
Grisly murders of 4 college students
That's
in
not
Idaho.
right.
A suspect arrested.
Who is Brian Koberger? We investigate. Streaming now on Fox Nation.
No, I'm not ignoring you. I see you. I'm trying to get this on the... I've already got the first 3. I want the 4th one. Season 4. No. I know. Get it together. I know. I'm trying. Here it is. Part 4.
Of the United States. But it seems that every turn in the Hunter
Damn it.
Biden saga gives us reason to doubt whether it applies to the first.
Damn it,
one.
Eddie. You make it look so easy.
Hunter Biden pleads guilty to 2 tax misdemeanors and agrees to probation on a felony firearm charge.
Hunter will not spend a single day behind bars. The laptop has evidence of money laundering, bribery, sex trafficking, wire fraud, foreign lobbying crimes, kickbacks, and racketeering.
I guess it really does help when your daddy is president.
5 long years later, a sweetheart deal for the president's
This
son.
came out about a
On
month
June
ago, I
20th,
think.
Federal prosecutors
Maybe
finally
6
reached
weeks
a
ago.
plea bargain with Hunter Biden on tax and gun crime charges following the long-running probe focusing on money he received from overseas business interests.
It's a cover-up. The outcome is the outcome that they engineered, which is that the president's son will not go to jail and he will just get a slap on the wrist. These 2 minor tax misdemeanors for the later years. The gun charge will not be charged as long as he's a good boy for 2 years. So effectively he's got off scot-free in a way that no other taxpayer in America would.
With the judge's approval, Hunter is expected to receive 2 years probation with a requirement to stay sober, submit to drug testing, pay up to $25,000 in fines, and avoid additional criminal behavior. The question many have is, how did it take 5 years to come up with this?
There is an active investigation into Hunter Biden stretching back into the Trump administration. So his finances, his taxes have been being scrutinized by IRS investigators and by the FBI.
5 years? That's utterly absurd. Wait, 5 months? Maybe. You could probably do some of the charges in 5 weeks.
There are investigations that are either being slow-walked or just they're investigations in name only and nothing's really being done.
Hunter will participate in a pretrial diversion program for the felony firearms charge for lying on a gun purchase form in 2018.
He said that he was not on drugs at the time when he was on crack.
It is illegal for someone that is an illegal drug user to purchase a firearm. Prosecutions of this are somewhat rare, but they are not non-existent. Obviously, Republicans want him to be investigated for foreign lobbying, for money laundering. There is an incredible amount of just public evidence that's laid out for public viewing on Hunter Biden's laptop related to the amount of money that he was making in Ukraine, the amount of money that he was making in China, potential criminal concerns, a lot of national security concerns.
He was an unregistered foreign agent, which is what they got Michael Flynn on and other Republicans in the Trump administration for receiving money from foreign governments and not disclosing it.
I think that the statute of limitations, I'm told, may have run out on some of those charges, particularly the FARA charges, because it's been more than 5 years now that they've been investigating. And some sort of tricky business has gone on in the Department of Justice to ensure that the statute of limitations did run out and that there wasn't, as usually happens, an ability to sort of reset it.
The charging decision was compared unfavorably to the serious charges against former President Trump.
President Trump's been indicted by New York District Attorney Alvin Bragg for a private civil settlement he made with a woman 7 years ago.
The Justice Department has just indicted former President Donald Trump over his handling of classified documents after he left office.
Now, for the very first time in American history, a sitting president's DOJ has indicted his top political rival ahead of a presidential campaign.
Many Americans are looking at the current state of the justice system in the political sphere of our country and saying, wait a minute, so if you're in the favored political class, nothing can happen to you. But if you're in the not favored class, they can bring indictment after indictment.
Look at the mishandling of classified documents. Joe Biden had classified documents stored in at least 4 different locations. Prior to going in and getting those documents, whoever was in search of the documents called his legal team 3 or 4 days in advance and said, hey, we're fixing to come over there, wink, wink, to look at for these classified documents that we have determined you have. Then you look at what they did with Trump. The FBI raids Mar-a-Lago, and they just so happen to have TV cameras at every angle and everything else.
Democrats have to decide whether the law applies to them or only Republicans, because that's the way the country feels right now when they see investigations and they see the former president being targeted the way that he is. And yet when you see how obviously the Biden family has broken the law and DOJ and FBI and IRS just turn the other cheek, that's a double standard.
Hunter's ability to stave off more extreme charges may have come down to his new legal strategy.
He's got this new, very high-powered, very expensive batch of lawyers on board. He's decided to go on the offense and basically be quite aggressive in molding his own image. Abby Lowell is one of them.
Very famous DC lawyer. In the past, he has represented Democrats, Republicans, most notably recently helped represent Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner during the investigations into former President Trump and his family. So he is a switch hitter.
He's just like an animal in depositions. very, very tough and aggressive in questioning. And he has basically taken an aggressive stance on behalf of Hunter, running around suing people, writing to various authorities, demanding that people that have displeased Hunter get investigated.
Part of his legal strategy is trying to get the Delaware Attorney General, the Justice Department's National Security Division, and the IRS involved in investigating the people who helped make Hunter Biden's laptop and the data on it public, including the repair shop owner who owned the shop where Hunter Biden dropped the laptop off.
Hunter Biden's lawyers deposed John Paul MacIsaac, and they interviewed him for 7 hours, very aggressively, I'm told. He's been through the ringer. He never wanted to be a public figure. He just wanted to bring to the public attention the material that he saw on the laptop that he thought had national security implications. But he's being sued by Hunter Biden.
And it doesn't end with John Paul MacIsaac. Hunter Biden's lawyers exploded at the Ways and Means Committee in June for what they called an obsession with attacking the Biden family. Representative Comer himself has experienced personal attacks.
Walk around Washington, D.C., there's posters of me wearing a cowboy hat, and they say Comer is all hat and no cattle. They have billboards in my district. They flew an airplane over the Kentucky Derby last month with a banner saying to investigate me. That just helps me in my district. I love it.
Hunter's lawyers also questioned why Republicans reportedly circulated fake images of the alleged WhatsApp messages involving Hunter. The legal team of Gary Shapley, the IRS whistleblower who gave testimony to the Ways and Means Committee, denounced the letter, saying, quote, Biden family lawyers have resorted to intimidation before. So this attempt to intimidate our client and the oversight authorities scrutinizing the politicization of that case is no surprise.
It's a smear and threat campaign trying to discourage and intimidate people like Gary Shapley, the whistleblower, and others who might be willing to come forward.
They're intimidating the witnesses. Like, you know, if we go down, you're going down.
One of Hunter Biden's many high-priced lawyers, Chris Clark, told prosecutors that if they decided to charge Hunter Biden, it would be career suicide.
Lowell also accused congressional Republicans of trying to derail the plea agreement. While the plea deal likely marks the end of the 5-year Justice Department investigation, David Weiss, the U.S. attorney overseeing the Hunter Biden probe, says the investigation is still ongoing. But according to one of Hunter's attorneys,
my understanding is that we're done.
He was caught on a hot mic in Florida just around the time that the statute of limitations have run out on the most serious allegations against Hunter. And it was sort of a boast. And I think that's the way he feels.
Joe Biden's claim that nobody X with a Biden rings true for one man who is now on the
except
run.
for the American
One of the
people.
many sources of information that was presented to the Department of Justice about Joe Biden and corruption came from a curious figure called Gal Luft. He was an Israeli professor, former high-ranking officer in the Israeli Defense Force, who'd been hanging around Washington in the same circles that Hunter Biden had been, and was being paid by the same Chinese energy company that Hunter Biden and his uncle got millions of dollars from.
In a video obtained exclusively by Fox News, Gal Luft laid out his bribery allegations against the Biden family while in hiding.
I want to be clear. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I have no political motive or agenda. I did it out of deep concern that if the Bidens were to come to power, the country would be facing the same traumatic Russia collusion scandal, only this time with China.
Gal Luft says he met with the FBI and DOJ in Brussels in 2019 and outlined a Chinese influence peddling scheme.
I shared my information about the Biden family's financial transactions with CFC, including specific dollar figures. I also provided the name of Rob Walker, who later became known as Hunter Biden's Bagman.
But perhaps the most alarming allegation sounds like it's straight out of a spy movie.
A mole within the DOJ shared classified information with Hunter Biden and his Chinese partners. I told the DOJ that Hunter was closely associated with a very senior retired FBI official who had distinct physical characteristics. He had one eye.
Whether or not these allegations
One
are true, Luft says he will never get the chance to present them before the Oversight Committee.
I never heard back from the DOJ, but instead of showing appreciation for my whistleblowing, I became public enemy number one. Over the past 4 years that followed, me, my family, my friends, my associates, were all harassed, intimidated, and finally, I was prosecuted.
He visits Cyprus briefly and is arrested on charges of gun running and FARA violations, which is the foreign lobbying violations. And then he decides he's not going to get a fair trial in New York, so he skips bail in April and he's a man on the run. He's a fugitive.
Why am I being indicted for FARA when the mother of all FARA cases, the Biden systemic influence peddling on behalf of foreign governments for which they raked millions, goes unpunished?
But the FBI and Democrats question his motives, calling him a criminal.
The Republicans were so desperate just last week to find someone who could tell them what they wanted to hear that they promoted and collaborated with a Chinese spy trying to influence U.S. policy while selling weapons to Iran and Libya. So why is the so-called whistleblower missing? We don't know. Skipped his bail, being searched upon after being arrested. Now he's so desperate to cling to this narrative, they're defending this alleged crook.
But Luft says these charges are politically motivated.
I, who volunteered to inform the US government about potential security breach and about compromising information about a man vying to be the next president, am now being hunted by the very same people whom I informed and may have to live on the run for the rest of my life.
Another new whistleblower who worked closely with Joe Biden during his vice presidency is now also speaking out.
This could hurt your reputation, man.
Joe Biden's a criminal. He's a terrible human being who's done awful things to our world and our country through his corruption. And the saddest, most tragic part of it is there are so many Democrats out there, good Americans, who can't be told this truth. You have to get them out of the White House. You have to stop listening to your media that you listen to.
Anything you can say about his case?
They're lying to you about what a great guy he is. And this is a really dark time in our country, and we need to resolve this. I wasn't a witness to it until I worked for him in the White House. I started as a White House stenographer with the press office in 2002.
Mike McCormick, the 15-year White House veteran, traveled closely with Joe Biden from January 2011 to the end of his second term as vice president.
My job was anytime the White House would have a speech by the president or the vice president or even a White House principal, we all typed it so the transcript was available to the press as quickly as possible. If the press were there, we were there.
Biden loved the media, and the media liked Biden, who'd been in Washington for decades and twice ran for president himself. Those campaigns in 1988 and 2008 were abysmal failures for the gaffe-prone politician. But it was clear to McCormick that Biden intended to run again, despite his track record, advancing age, and propensity for cringe-inducing off-the-cuff comments.
This is a bunch of stuff. Look, here's the deal.
What does that mean, a bunch of stuff?
Am I doing this again?
Working with Joe Biden was eye-opening because of his ego. Huge ego. He wanted attention. He had a deep, unquenchable ambition to be the president. He demanded his own stenographer and wanted one around the clock working for him, but he only had one, and that was me.
That meant McCormick had fly-on-the-wall access to Biden for 6 years of his vice presidency.
So we flew on Air Force One. We were in the Oval Office. We were in the briefing room every day when there was a briefing. So I saw a lot of the world with the White House, especially with Joe Biden. I traveled with Joe Biden to China, Russia, Ukraine, probably about 20 countries with him.
Cormac never met Hunter Biden, but he heard all about him from the former V.
He was an amazing person. He was a great dad. He was a stellar husband. He was an upright citizen who did all this volunteer work with World Food Program USA. He was a smart guy, one of the smartest guys he knows. Joe Biden bragged about that guy.
McCormick would only later learn that the president's son was a raging crack addict with a seemingly insatiable appetite for prostitutes and a penchant for making homemade porn.
I'm very proud of my son.
After keeping a low profile the last few years while in the midst of several court cases, Hunter Biden has come out from the shadows in recent months.
Your family coming with you for the trip?
Just two of my family members hadn't been there.
We're right in the thick of this investigation, and yet they're taking this trip to learn more about their heritage over in Ireland.
Why is Hunter Biden even around?
Yeah.
He should not be anywhere near Air Force 1, 2, 3, or 6.
How bizarre it is that his son is now running comms for him.
He has come out of his shell in public a little bit more. We've been seeing Hunter Biden at White House events, riding on Air Force One with his father, accompanying President Biden on his trip to Ireland, even interacting with the press a little bit there.
He's also gone on practically every vacation that Joe Biden has gone on to the borrowed mansions of millionaires around the country. You see that there's a new set of play equipment on the White House lawns that presumably is for Hunter Biden's 2-year-old son. So he does spend a lot of time there around the White House. And in part, that may be to discuss the ongoing strategy with his father in Delaware or in Camp David, out of sight of prying eyes, because the investigation into Hunter Biden has to end up with Joe Biden.
If he was so concerned about that investigation, would he have been with his dad overseas when they went to Ireland? I don't think so. I think he would have been like basically in a bunker somewhere, never to be seen, if he felt it was serious.
Hunter's frequent public appearances with his father have ignited rumors that he might even be living at the White House, which has recently been embroiled in a news scandal.
Fox has learned that the White House complex was briefly evacuated on Sunday night after Secret Service discovered cocaine in a work area in the West Wing.
The suspicion was more closely defined to Hunter, who's obviously the most famous former cocaine addict in the house.
You just think once and for all whether or not the cocaine belonged to the Biden family. The Biden family was not here. They were not here. They were at Camp David. They were not here Friday. They were not here Saturday. They were not here Sunday. They were not even here Monday. They came back on Tuesday. So to ask that question is actually incredibly irresponsible.
Contrary to Karine Jean-Pierre's statement, the Biden family was indeed present at the White House Friday, June 30th, 2 days before the discovery. Joe Biden even delivered remarks that afternoon from the West Wing.
I'm skeptical that the cocaine found in the White House recently belongs to Hunter Biden. You know, the Secret Service should probably already know who dropped it there. Now, will the White House be forthcoming? Absolutely not. I have little confidence in the Secret Service to do something other than protect the president.
The Secret Service later closed its investigation, and no one was held accountable due to a, quote, lack of physical evidence.
Their policy has been that they never talk. Joe Biden will not talk about anything Hunter related. His spokespeople never will talk about it.
This includes questions regarding Hunter's love child, Navy Joan Roberts.
How come they haven't acknowledged the seventh grandchild? I'm not going to speak to that from here.
Hunter Biden had a relationship, an affair, whatever you want to call it, with London Alexis Roberts, and she had a child in late 2018, Navy Joan Roberts.
London Roberts had to sue Hunter Biden and get a paternity test done, a DNA test,
to even prove that he was the father. He always denied that he was the father and pretended that he didn't know London Roberts, that it was just a fling when he was on crack and he couldn't remember. That's not the case.
A DNA proved Hunter to be the biological father, and the pair agreed on a $2.5 million settlement in October of 2020. However, in May of this year, Hunter fought to reduce those payments.
Hunter actually had to appear in court in May, and his lawyers said at the time that he was paying about $20,000 a month in child support and had paid something like $750,000 total so far at that time.
He says that he's too poor to pay London Roberts for the upkeep of their baby, their now 4-year-old Navy. So London Roberts and her lawyer are getting quite aggressive because they're saying, look, you know, you have this lifestyle, you fly around in a private jet, you live in a $25,000 a month Malibu mansion, you don't seem to be lacking money. And we know that you made millions of dollars out of these Chinese and Ukrainian deals.
In June, Hunter and London reached a new settlement with the agreed upon amount redacted from court records.
We don't know the exact terms of the child support settlement. Allegedly, it's been reduced from $20,000 a month to $5,000 a month. There may have also been a lump sum payment. Reportedly also, the mother gets to keep some of the Hunter Biden paintings that he tries to sell for $500,000 to whom we don't know.
London Roberts also agreed to abandon efforts to have her daughter use the Biden surname.
It's obviously a bit of a tragic situation. Child caught in the middle of all this. Hunter Biden has gone out of his way not to acknowledge that this is his child. President Joe Biden's gone out of his way not to acknowledge that this is his grandchild.
Even just months ago, we saw President Biden proudly listing off his grandchildren, minus Navy Joan.
I have 6 grandchildren, and I'm crazy about them. I speak to them every single day.
The Biden family rejection of her, Joe Biden telling his staff that he only has 6 grandchildren, Jill Biden writing a children's book and dedicating it to her 6 grandchildren, just ignoring Navy Joan, I think gives the public pause about the mythology around Joe Biden being a great family man.
Along with Hunter Biden's sweetheart plea deal, the London Roberts settlement is seemingly another case closed.
I don't think it's any coincidence that all of this got wrapped up almost simultaneously. The settlement of the child support case of Hunter Biden in Arkansas, the paying off of $2.2 million in back taxes, followed by, a sweetheart plea deal. I think White House operators were deeply concerned about how this would reflect in the upcoming presidential election, and they came up with a master plan, a plan to try to resolve all of this almost at the same time in order to free up Joe Biden from scrutiny and criticism in advance of the presidential election.
I think that Hunter Biden, under no circumstances, was going to accept that he would go to jail or plead guilty to a felony because he feels he did nothing wrong. Hunter Biden is playing hardball because he knows that his father has the power to protect him.
Hardworking Americans are held accountable and held responsible for the decisions that they make in their own lives. And if this were the average citizen, they'd be behind bars. But it's not, because these are elitist politicians. They're treated with a different standard. And what we need to do as Republicans is hold our side and the other side accountable to the same standard no matter what. That's what the American people want. That's what the American people need. And that's what the American people deserve.
So exactly who is Hunter Biden? Turns out it's a pretty complicated question. If you haven't watched the first 3 seasons of this series, I hope you will. There is so much more to this truly unbelievable story, and every American needs to know it. Thanks for watching.